Waiting kind of sucks. However, that gives me enough time to crank out another video for this year. I think this might be a world record on my channel because I only managed to post twice a year, if not once a year. But because of me getting some new ideas, I may be able to pump out some more videos for this year. But that depends. That depends on, if I have any ideas. So, while we wait for those pretty good looking Gilliks to get here, let's talk about next gens. Yeah, because I said it before, I was going to talk about my opinion on those next gens, both the hybrids and the CNGs, and now's the time. Now is the time. So I'm gonna be going off of kind of like how I feel, just like no script or nothing. In case you wanted to know the Battle of the Batteries video, if you couldn't tell, that was obviously scripted. But I really like that video. You should also check it out too, by the way, if you haven't seen that. But we're going to be talking about next gens and kind of how my opinion on them has changed over time. I still remember, like, what was it, 2013, when I moved to Long Island for the first time. Of course, I didn't like the next gens at that time. I didn't like them before that. But when I moved here, it was just like, next gens all over the place. And I still remember, like, 2013, 14, 15, 16. Like, those were like the heights of my next gen hate. And even Alex can tell you, like, God, it's just super cringy I was in those days, man. Like, if you haven't seen the Zach and Night Eagle Orion VII Next Gen review, which here's the part where I say you should watch that, but you probably shouldn't because it's just...
Their design is terrible. Their engine is terrible. Their backfire. Don't get me started on that backfire. It's terrible.
It's so bad. But yeah, back then I didn't like next gens at all, hybrids or CNGs. I just didn't like them. I'm sorry, and diesel too, because those exist. I just didn't like them at all, and I mean, could you blame me? I mean, they look weird, they sound weird. I think not a lot of bus fans at all even likes the next gens period. But I was definitely in that category. Trust me, I was. But then something happened as I lived more and more in Long Island. Something happened that changed my thought process forever. And it didn't happen until 2018 or 2019, somewhere around there. Was when I was going to college, Nassau Community College. And as I started taking the bus more and more to get to and from college and at the time work, I had this strange thought in my mind. One day I was just taking the bus and I was just like, they don't sound that bad as I thought they was. And at that point, everything changed. And I'm not sure if it's because I finally became a bit more mature when it came to not liking the next gens, or if it was because I just felt like I was hating them a bit too much. But ever since my headphones fell. Ever since then, I didn't start liking next gens. Like, I didn't simp over them, cause that's a bit too much. I didn't simp over the next gens. It was just like, I still find some things that I don't like about them, but it's like now I can tolerate them as much more as I did before. And it actually first started off with the third gen CNGs. I was like, you know what? These actually aren't as bad as I thought they were. And, sound-wise, too, I think that was the one thing that many people complained about when it came to the next gens, the CNGs, the fact that it was a Cummins ISL. Which, to be fair, is the same engine as the XN40s and the C40s. But as I was taking the third gens more and more, I started to like them, not because of their engine. because of like I found the Hanover signs. I think that's what they're called. I found those Hanover signs to be very interesting. I really like the fonts on those and the fact that they scroll. I kind of want to go like more in depth of like what I started to like about them, from the 1700s, 1800s, third gens, and then we'll go over to the hybrids because hybrids is actually a bit better-ish, I should say, kind of. So 1700s. Okay, so of course I still do not like those bubble seats. Like I said before, I'm not gonna repeat myself like I did with the cringy next gen review. But like I said before, there's like a certain spot in the back of the bus, and this is through like years of like years, like months in 2018, like months of analyzing. I realized that there's a nice spot in the back of the bus where you can get good audio clips as well as backfires too from the interior. And the backfires actually don't sound that bad to me anymore. Like I know that before I used to like complain about it and whatnot that it's not the Orion V backfire, beep 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 beep. But it's really not that bad to me anymore. And I realized that the pop sound, I at first I thought that the pop sound was kind of like a weird exclusive thing to the Orion Fives, but the pop sound that C&D buses actually make, the next gens also make that sound too, and they sound, how do I put it? They sound kind of louder on the inside. Go figure. But on the outside too, it sounds pretty nice. And if you can somehow manage to catch a next gen doing the little pop sound, then you're really in for a treat. In terms of like everything else, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to the 1700. That they have a really good spot to. No, I'm sorry, I lied. It's the LED turning lights on the side, which they look good, especially at night too as well. They look really good. Um, and that's what I like over the 1800s because of those lights. It's really minor, but you know it makes a big um, difference to me. So other than that, that's pretty much it, really. I mean, I only sit in the back of every next gen if I can. If not, then I'll sit in the middle. So yeah, 1800s. Meh. Moving on. No, I'm kidding. Actually, no. Yeah, the 1800s are kind of okay. Like they're really like in between. I like of course, I said it before. I like the third gens more than I like the 1800s, and like the 1700s more than I like the 1800s. But the 1800s are the only thing that really has them going for me is the fact that they don't have those seats on the inside. Other than that, it's really the same. Um, but the 1800s, I believe it's been like a few months since I've actually been on a bus, so I could be wrong about this stuff, guys. But the 1800s do have the ropes actually. So it's the seats and the ropes, the stop requested ropes on the windows that really is the only thing I like about the 1800s because there's really not much that's different. Uh, the 1700s, I forgot to mention, do have the old style yellow tape, and that's a complete throwback to me for like to the Orion Fives because they had those too. But yeah, 1800s not really much to like, so we're gonna just move on from that. Actually, I think the 1800s. I don't think the 1800s have the emergency lights on them either. But if they do, then I'm wrong. But anyways, we're gonna just move on from that. Third gens. Whoa. Okay. So third gens, in terms of their body style, they really don't change as much because it's still an Orion 7, so the body doesn't really change that much. But the only facelift that I could really see of is I think the side is a bit. I think of course the doors are a bit are different. But in terms of the body, yeah, doors are different. I think, and of course the crescent air panel thing on above the engine compartment. And yeah, that's pretty much the major changes. They don't have the LED turning lights on the side, the white ones, which is a bummer. But they do have Hanover destination signs, and those look pretty damn cool. Granted, they're not like the same as like granted they aren't like an Axion or the RGB Spectrum ones, which have color and all that stuff. But it looks cool. The fonts look very cool, and I really like that. Especially the X. I love the X as well. Like seeing a third gen on an express route is like a treat to me, honestly. Interior wise, I think they changed the back of the bus, like the vents towards the back. I think that's different. Keep in mind, like I said before, it's been a long time since I've been on a third gen, so I don't really remember. The seats as well, like I said, no bubble seats, but I really don't like those seats, the ones that don't have the bubble seats. In fact, I actually prefer the new seats that are on the 2020 and 2021 Excelsiors than I do with those thick plastic weird giant blue seats, and that goes for both MTA and Nice Bus. But that's besides the point. And interior wise, you can hear the engine, but I don't think it's possible to get a good sound recording of the backfires, because I think that the insulation. There we go. The word just can't come out my mouth. Yeah, the insulation is what makes the engine and backfire kind of hard to hear. But that's pretty much it for the third gens. Granted, they do have a bit more to them that I like compared to the 1800s. So if I had to rank them, it's 1700s. No, I'm sorry, that's a lie. If I had to rank them, it's third gens first, 1700s after, and then 1800s after that. Yeah, but yeah, that's how I feel about them now. I definitely made like a huge improvement when it came to how I felt about these. Like before, I used to just hate them. Now it's just like, okay, I can definitely tolerate you guys more. Granted, you aren't the best bust. Did I just say bust? I don't know where that T came from. Granted, they aren't the best bust that Orion's ever made, and in fact, I really would prefer that they made the Orion 8. Yeah, I would rather prefer that Orion had made the Orion 8 instead of the Orion 7 next gen, because, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, you know, they did the choice that they did. They made the Orion 7 next gens, and they could have made the Orion 8 after that. Then they made the third gens, and then it went bankrupt. So, you know, poor, I would say a poor decision from Orion's half, you know. But it's all in the past now. They're gone. Can't do much about it now. So, finally, let's move on. Let's move on to the hybrids. I'm not gonna go into like the 3800s, 3900s, 4000s, 4100s, 4200s, 4700s. I rarely go on hybrids anyways. You know, I'm mostly underground when I travel, which I want to change. I want to ride on more buses, as much buses as I possibly can. But I'll just talk about the hybrids as the general, the next gen hybrids. Definitely, I like them. I like them too as well. Of course, you know, not as much as I do at old gen, but they definitely have grown on me a bit more, I'd say, than the next gens. The powertrain wise, it's the same as an old gen, so there's really not much to like complain about or anything like that. You know, it sounds like an old gen, so it's good. In fact, speaking of sound, there are actually a few next gens and even old gens that for some reason are maintained a specific way or tweaked a certain way, that they produce a specific type of sound from that Cummins ISB engine and the Bay transmission. They produce a specific kind of sound, and I'm still kind of investigate that. Some old gens sound like that, well, the ones that are left anyways. And some next gens, I believe, even sound like that. And I think one of them that I know off the top of my head is 3860. I think that's at JFK currently. I gotta check that out. I really want to hear how that sounds, because Jesus, does that sound really good. Next gens that I actually like in terms of like, in terms of like their fleet range. I definitely like the 4200s at Manhattanville, and Techno can definitely tell you as well that I really like how those look. There's really like not much different. Like engine still sounds the same as an old gen, interior is the same as an old gen, but the signs themselves are different, and that's probably because I think they came from Yukon back when Yukon put those next gens on the SBS routes. So they still have those signs, and they look so good. We call them Spectrum next gens, the ones at Manhattanville, which has those signs. And during the daytime, they look so good. During the nighttime, they look even better, because like they don't look orange; they look more like yellow than orange, and it's so cool. I have to get my Ryzen on those before they go somewhere. We don't know where. I hope not to scrap. Please don't go to scrap. Um, not yet, at least. But the Spectrum next gens, I definitely do like those. Really like those. And hybrids are pretty cool. You know, the rough tops. Yes, the 3800s. I didn't like those at first. I didn't like those next gens because they had the same battery pack as the old gen. So it was like, it's cringe, it's gross, I don't like it. But as time really went on, I actually started to like the 3800s because it makes them look very unique compared to the rest. 3900s, me and Techno call those soft tops. They're okay. I probably have been on more soft tops than rough tops, but I still like the rough tops more. So yeah. I like how I said I wasn't gonna go into like each fleet range, and then I ended up going to each fleet range. I'm sorry. But lastly, I'm just gonna start the closing phase of this video with the third gen diesels. Yes. I've been on a third gen diesel, I think probably two or three times actually. 2 or 3 times. My first time was on the S53 or S93. Going over the Verrazano Bridge. And of course I think there was some traffic there, but they operated pretty good. And then as of recently, I rode a third gen on the M79 SBS. I believe it was for February during the snow loan era. That was freaking amazing. Even though we didn't really go that fast, but it was just so cool to be on a third gen in Manhattan. Even though I would have preferred it to be not during the snow, which I think Quill ran some before the snow actually hit, but I didn't get a chance to get those. But the third gen diesels are really nice, and I feel bad for them because they're just isolated on Staten Island. I really think that they could have shined. That I feel like either Omer Park or Queens Village could have kept those, but they didn't, and MTA said, "You're banished to Staten Island, where you'll be pointed and laughed at for the rest of your life." But I'm not going to keep this video going anymore. It's like 23 minutes according to my phone. So, just some final thoughts here. How I feel about them retiring is kind of a mixed bag. I'm kind of like, ha, you're gone. Yes, finally. And half of me is like, oh well, it's kind of sad that they're going now that I'm starting to really like they're starting to grow on me. But the next gen hybrids, I think they have a tiny while until they start to be retired at the MTA. But they're being moved around to places while we get the newer buses like the LFS HEVs, which I might make a video on that later. The XDE 40s as well as the new XD 40s. So they're being shifted around until they eventually start to drop like flies and go to Eastchester and die. I'm not sure about the third gen diesel. Probably not though. But as for Nice Bus, they're starting to drop like flies, and it's been a while. I think one next gen has been reported to be retired, although I don't know if that's true or not. But they're starting to drop like flies, and it's the 1700s first. The 1800s haven't been touched yet, and the 30s have not been touched either. But I'm trying to catch as many as I possibly can, and at the moment it's getting a little hard because I've only caught about 50 something, and at that point I'm starting to run into the same connections that I caught before on the N1, N4, and N25. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the next gens. Definitely changed. In fact, I might even make a next gen review on the Zach and Io channel. A new one, a revamped version, because that other one was just so cringe. I don't know why I even made that. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Next video could be how I feel about the LFS ATVs. Although I gotta ride those more actually to give my opinions on those. Although I could also make another Gillick update video or my opinion on them when they either enter service, whenever the hell that will be. MTA, nice bus, I'm looking at you. Or when we get some massive news about them or something like that. But that's my thoughts on the next gens. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and share your opinion about the next gens as well in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video, whenever that will be.